All right, next up we have 1/3 of TLC, Miss Chili.
Hmm.
Uh, Chili is being called out for engaging in colorism.
Oh
Uh,
no.
so Chili has been, I don't know how long this has lasted, but she's been in a public relationship with Matthew Lawrence. Matthew Lawrence is probably not a name that is going to sound familiar to younger audiences, but to people our age and older, you know who Matthew Lawrence is. He's one of those Lawrence brothers. He's the younger brother of Joey Lawrence. Joey Lawrence, who's famous for always saying "whoa" on the show Blossom back in the '90s. Uh, Matthew Lawrence was on Boy Meets World, one of those shows that if you are our age, everybody watched. Um, so Chili is with this guy. Matthew Lawrence is a white guy, and apparently everybody was all feeling happy go lucky because they posted some pic of them dancing, and people were saying, "Oh man, Matthew Lawrence got himself some chocolate." And
Haha.
Chili set the record straight by saying, "No, he got himself some caramel."
Oh.
And after she said that, shit hit the fan. So we'll go ahead and provide some context here. It says Chili's caramel comments raise colorism debate on social media. It's impossible to please everyone, but in the social media age, celebrities feel more pressure than ever before to remain politically correct and positive online. Should they choose to reveal any unsavory opinions or even have a bad day, flocks of criticism flood their comment section, resulting in even more headaches. TLC's Chili was reminded of this the hard way earlier this week when her response to a compliment rubbed thousands the wrong way. In a now viral video, the singer and her man, Matthew Lawrence, were showing off their choreography during a vacation in Jamaica, leaving viewers impressed with how in sync they are. Okay, Matthew, he got some chocolate. Now he got some chocolate. Now he got the moves. I approve. One person innocently wrote beneath the actor's post. Caramel, Chili wrote back, suggesting she identifies with a lighter shade of brown than others see her. As people began reacting to this, the 52-year-old doubled down on her original statement. Chocolate is beautiful, also. Never said it wasn't, but without a tan, I'm caramel. What's the harm in being truthful? Good grief. She wrote she wrote back to a critic. So, here are all of those comments here. People are mad because of what she said. Um, it's not the fact that she considers herself caramel, one frustrated user explained beneath the Neighborhood Talks post. It's the fact that she took the time to correct the person who was obviously giving her a compliment. Another chimed in with their 2 cents, writing, I really hate the spectrum of black y'all trying to create, and it mainly stems in the black community. White folks do not be talking about I'm salmon pink. Uh, wasn't Chili the darkest out of TLC? Another person
Right.
asked, earning thousands, earning thousands of likes from more music lovers in agreement with them. Keep scrolling to read more online reactions to the Waterfall Hitmakers post and check back later for more blah blah blah. So yeah, a lot of people shared some opinions on this. Um, you see here, we've seen her with and without tans, and it's chocolate every time. I don't think the person literally meant chocolate as in the color of chocolate. She meant he got himself a black woman. I don't even understand what was the point of trying to correct it. Caramel, LOL, girl, you black and that's beautiful. So yeah, people been sounding off. People been sounding off, and they're saying that Chili apparently is a little bit too preoccupied with setting the record straight on this. What do you make of these situations? You think Chili was being a colorist there?
Um, I'll take yes. Uh, well, I don't know for 500. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think this is a prime example. This is how it looks, man. This is crazy. Talk about bad optics, man. This just looks crazy from the outside. Now, let me just paint a picture of how I see it, and then you can see why it looks a little crazy. But I think that um, her marrying outside. Uh, she might have different worldviews, um, which encourages, for her to be with, that man. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but clearly her worldviews are in a space where she doesn't think highly enough of, her people's beauty, uh, enough that she has to qualify that she's of a lighter complexion. All the comments that the people made were spot on. I was just thinking to myself, wasn't she the dark skinned one of the group?
Yeah.
But she would have us believe that she's a caramel or caramel. I can't stand this. What is it for the caramel? I can't stand when people say caramel. To me, it's caramel. And holla at me later. And for are you a pecan guy or a pecan guy?
Well, I used to eat ice cream, and I would always say butter pecan.
Right.
Yeah. But honestly, I would oscillate back and forth. Sometimes I catch myself saying pecan, but most of the time I would say pecan.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
pecan person. Pecan is when I'm in public and people might judge me. But but you know what I'm saying? Behind
Yeah.
closed
I,
doors, I'm
I
a
always,
pecan
I,
dude.
I, I, yeah, I always used to say pecan. The vast majority of the time, I would say pecan.
Last one, man. Is it Kim Basinger? Kim Bassinger? How you say
I used to always say Basinger.
that? Yeah, I mean, I can't stand that. But yeah, it's the for the caramel stuff. I mean, I get it. It just looks crazy optically. It looks like she's a, you know, stereotypical self-hating person who self-hates enough that she goes outside the community because she thinks that's better. And whenever even being compared to somebody that's of a dark complexion, she doesn't think that that's good. She goes light and she thinks that's better. So I'm pretty sure there's other things that she thinks that are just better because it comes from another community. It don't even have to be white, just another community outside of ours. And so I'm not surprised here. Optically, it looks crazy. She can try to justify this however she wants, but this just looks like some. I don't even like saying self hatred because it's a spectrum of that. But to me, I think that this is on the higher degree where it exhibited itself, um, you know, obviously to spectators enough so that she's getting kickback from even her own fans. So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on this situation here, Miss Caramel? Not identifying as why can't it be milk chocolate? You don't even know what kind of chocolate it was.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
you
I
feel
don't.
about
I
that?
don't know. I don't know why she did that. And I'm usually the consummate give people the benefit of the doubt
Mm,
guy.
hmm
So I always try to explain some sort of a rationale behind all of this kind of stuff, but it really does seem like she was a bit preoccupied with making it clear that she's not chocolate. You know, I'm trying to find a way to give her the benefit of the doubt, and nothing is coming to mind. And what makes it so puzzling is, you know, she's been her. So she was with so one of her first public relationships was with a record producer named Dallas Austin, way back in the day. This dude is black, and he
hmm
looks black, right?
hmm
And then since then she's been speculated to have been with Usher, who's black,
hmm hmm hmm
Floyd Mayweather, who's black.
I didn't know
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's just like, where is this coming from? But obviously, when you're with or in a relationship with a black man, the likelihood that someone is going to make a comment like that is not very high. So you can kind of hide behind the veil of whatever it is that you truly feel, because for convenience sake, you're with a black person anyway. So no one's gonna say this black man went and found himself some chocolate. Like, no one's gonna say that. So she's now with Matthew Lawrence, who is very clearly a white man, and someone made a comment in fun, and she made the choice to say that. And really, it's just a matter of just paying attention to the context, because what the people were what the one person was commenting on was quite literally that you are with some guy who found himself some chocolate, as in you are a black woman. The only source of contention that you could possibly have with such a comment is if you yourself didn't see yourself as a black woman, which would be interesting. And we are not in Chilli's head, so we don't know how she thinks about any of this stuff. But it nevertheless does come off as a bit odd that she would go as so far as to try and be so exact with her, with how she looks at her own skin complexion, to comment that he found caramel and not chocolate. Furthermore, for the record, caramel is a form of chocolate. So really, what difference does it make anyway? Because like caramel is chocolate anyway. It's just a different kind of chocolate. So why go that far? I don't know. A lot of this seems silly to me. And even though I don't like doing this kind of stuff because it makes me uncomfortable, if we are going to be reasonable with respect to this topic, it would nevertheless appear as though she views herself as some type of other, at least enough to make it known that she's going to correct you if you ever refer to her as chocolate, which is unfortunate, but also not completely uncommon.
Hey man, it's what it is. Uh, one thing that happened through hundreds of years of conditioning are these kinds of mindsets, and it's not just here in the United States. It's all through the Caribbean. It's in Africa, certain parts in Africa, and I'm pretty. It's going on all across the globe. You with this mentality, and like I said, she just fits the stereotypical thing right now. I can pretty much run down a list of stereotypes that she just fits them. I'm sure, we're not in her head, but I know she thinks she has good hair. She'll say I have good hair. She's not gonna say people have bad hair, but she's a I have good hair person. And when those types of rhetorics are being used, then there is a complex going on where they believe they're better than the next in the same family. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, man, we range, you know, we the harbors, the creators of humanity. The first people came from Africa and all this other good stuff. So we pretty much fathered and mothered everything. And there's a wide array, a spectrum of hair textures, skin complexions, but it's all a part of the same jive. And as I mentioned, man, it's the same type of rigmarole that goes on in the Caribbean all the time. And there's people there that's darker than me, refusing to believe, acknowledge, heritage. And then there's colorism over there too, where the upper class, the elites, if you will, are of the lighter hue, and then all the dark skinned brown people are downhill working. You know, it's going on everywhere. So that's what I'm saying. So this conditioning is going on across the planet. It plays itself out naturally now. You don't have to push a domino anymore. We've already witnessed all the dominoes falling, and this is a situation here where, unfortunately, at least in this context, which is backwards enough, she has a backwards way of viewing skin tone. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that goes. When you faking the funk, acting like you ain't who you really are around somebody else, and they say that you're like the others. No, I'm not. That's what it comes off like. So, bad look for Miss Chilli, man. You never hear anything from her. She ducked off. Her IG is full of Bible quotes and other nice, Russell Wilson type things. So yeah, this is a bit out of left field, but you never know what's going on in people's heads. At least we
You
got an
don't.
idea of what's going on up there.
Yeah, you don't. And there's just no rhyme or reason for it. two black parents, and she's been in a bunch of public relationships with other black men. So, if there was a track record for it, to me, it would be more easily understood. You know, like Halle Berry. Like if Halle Berry says something like this, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. Uh, and
She's
there's no shade.
in the
There's no
fringes.
shade. There's no shade towards Halle Berry. I love Halle Berry,
I
and
think
Halle Berry is not on this.
I threw it.
Even though Halle Berry has had her handful of relationships, with non-black men. Not that I have an issue with it because I don't. That will make me a hypocrite. I don't. I'm just saying if Halle Berry were to say this, I get it more than Chilli saying it. But be that as it may, they are interesting comments, and there's a part of me that wants to say she just didn't understand contextually how saying that was going to be received, and that's a sin in and of itself. So either right, either you are actively engaging in harmful tropes, or you are ignorant to how those kind of comments would play out. And I don't think either of those are where you want to be. So it's a lesson for everybody to at least be able to read the room on this stuff. There's still a small part of me that wants to give her the benefit of the doubt, um, just because of history and track record. But nevertheless, they were pretty off-putting. I don't know, just doesn't really. It's not really a good look,
It's
But
not.
hopefully, she can engage in some effective damage control because it doesn't really look or sound good in terms of how she put it out there and just so matter of factly. And then to double down on it by saying, this is what I meant. What's wrong with being truthful? Like, maybe you need to clarify yourself instead of doubling down. But, what are you going to do these days with some of these people, man?
Hey man, I'll tell you this, bro, and I heard it all the time growing up, man. As I mentioned, it's conditioning. You can love black people, as you mentioned, she dated black people before, so it's not like a hatred. That's why that self-hatred thing is such a and it's a spectrum. Some people hate themselves enough that they go bleach their skin. You know, so that's like, yeah, you really hate yourself. But for her to date black guys or whatever, to switch over to white dude, I don't have it. That's whatever. That's not so much the hatred. It comes off. That whole scene looks hatred now, self hatred. Oh, that's why you went and got you the real thing, because you have an issue somewhere. And
Yeah.
but the reason why I said that is the condition is so pervasive, and it's so well done, man, that that you could tell black people that there's certain forms of mathematics or art forms or music or things that or sciences that were created by black people, and the real history, and their minds are blown, and they'll be like, well, I thought Galileo, I thought Hermes, or I thought woo, woo. And it's just like, nah, man, like there was people that predated this and all this other stuff. It's a mind warp. And I say all that to say is that even in high school and stuff like that, there people will say, there'd be a girl that looked good or whatever, is she bad or whatever, but the catch, which made her even badder, was, ooh, and she red too. And she red. And it's black. They love black women. Trust me, these dudes love black women. But in their own mind, there was a colorism that was put on them, whether they're consciously or subconsciously. I would holler subconsciously, through conditioning, through television. The light skinned girl on Martin is the wifey, and dark skinned Gina is the biatch.
You
You know what
got
I'm
to, you
saying?
got
Who
to,
keep who?
you flipped them. You flipped them. You flipped
What,
them.
Gina? I said,
Gina's the wife. Yeah. Pam. You talk,
oh
Pam
yeah,
is
Pam.
the,
Yeah, and
yeah.
Pam's, yeah, my bad. Pam. Shout out to Pam.
Don't,
Still looking good too. And yeah, the dark skinned one that's, whatever, whoop de whoop. And every TV show, every movie, the girl that the main black dude wants is red. Think of Ice Cube and Friday, red girls and this and this and that. It's in there, and it's a conditioning. Guys look at that and go, that's bad. And there's a whole thing that I can get into with that. But I'm just saying that's how the conditioning works. Your preferences are created and given to you, and then there's consumption and consumerism, and then the byproduct of that is people hit the streets and they try to mimic what they saw on TV was the bad, the gorgeous, the Angelina Jolie's, the Woody Woo, the Christy, all of it. And so with that stuff, is that's how the seed is there. That's the inception, and then the seed grows, and then the person starts to self-hate on themselves and their own people, all because of a skin tone that, and which is completely ridiculous. So yeah, from a 30,000-mile view looking at this, you're going, well, how could this be? But again, there's internal factors, at least within you, that think for yourself, and then there's other people that don't. And
Yeah.
this is how you get into a mindset where you even make these distinguishes, like we was discussing this whole time. So yeah, it's a sad case. I can't believe she didn't see the room, which is the internet, which is the biggest room, that and the softest room at this point. You can't say nothing. We ain't getting canceled here, baby. You can't cancel us. Hit the like, subscribe.
That's an interesting topic for another video,
Yeah.
because I've thought about that many times before. Like what are preferences exactly? Like, I've honestly thought about this. Like, everyone has preferences when it comes to what they find attractive or lack thereof, right? But it's not like there's a uniform standard for this thing. It's not hard science and physiology. Like, we can understand based on hard science and physiology, and if we study anthropology and all of these kinds of things, one can understand why things like big breasts and wide hips and a big butt is
Boy.
attractive, right?
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, you can break that down. You can break that down anthropologically, right? Like, physiologically, there are things on a subatomic level in terms of the human brain which kind of inform us on understanding why do we find these types of things attractive. But then when you get into stuff like, facial features and skin tone, that's when it becomes an interesting conversation. Like, where does the physiological, anthropological part of the baseline for human preferences, where does that end and socialization takes over? That's a very interesting conversation, because I'm not gonna, I personally am going to admit I am pretty sure that part of my preferences comes from programming. I may be able to think for myself,
Yeah.
but some of the things that I like and find appealing and attractive, that came from something that was impressed upon me, not from something that intrinsically is a part of my genetic makeup. But I can admit that, though. I can admit that openly. It is what it is. But I think it's a very interesting thing, because there are certain things that I find attractive that others don't. And there are certain things that I find not so attractive that others do. So that's definitely an interesting topic for us to get into at a later date, because that is definitely something that we see on display here with those kind of comments from her,
Yep.
for sure. And it definitely is a range. And but like you said, when you get into stuff like self-hatred, that's a more sociological, contextually based aspect of looking at it. It's not so simple. But
Right.
at the end of the day, though, the way that we glean our preferences, I would say at least half of that, if not more, is based upon socialization for sure. And I think that I just don't think that there's a way to escape that. You can be as authentically you as you want, right? And you can be as down to earth and you can be as down as you want to be, but there's some aspect of programming that's in there, man. It's unavoidable. And so I just think that that's a very fascinating angle with which to look at stuff like this from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Wow.
Yeah, shouts out to Chilli, though. I don't
Yes,
really like those
caramel.
comments. Yeah, I don't really like what you said there, but you know, it is what it is, I
Hey,
guess.
caramel. Hey, caramel. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Uh, and shouts out to Bubbly Brown Sugar on the chat, man. She's tuning in, friend of the channel. We certainly appreciate it.
Bubbly. Squad.